pledge allegiance to
to
the
the
flag
flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Okay.
The roll call, Bud.
Present.
Barb.
Here.
Alan Robbins. Tamitha.
Here.
Leslie.
Here.
Ken.
Present.
Alan Michelson. Jim.
Here.
Matt.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Alan is on vacation, so he will not be here tonight. You've had time to read the minutes. If there's no questions or corrections on the minutes, need a motion to accept them.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And do we have any more bills here?
Yes, there are two additions to the bills for the month. Total adder, $2,693.66, bringing total to $28,161.56.
I move that the bills be paid as published and amended from the proper accounts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well, we've had a couple events already this year that seem to be successful in spite of the weather, and that would have been the Dog Park Parade, made it through. And it was so cold for the ice cream, but I think a lot of people had their ice cream and had a nice time. And then we had Tim's that had a nice little party Saturday morning for the kids, so thank everybody involved in getting things started around here. So we'll go right to safety, Alan.
We have Deputy Carney with us today. I'm reading from the reports for month of May, targeted 100 hours, 96 hours were performed. That's well within our green zone. Miles walked on the cruiser 610, gallons of fuel anticipated 33.8. Deputy Hardy had 36 hours, Deputy Yarborough 35 hours, Deputy Lyon 25 hours for 96. On the activities report, will be amended slightly, but I'll read for what's published. Code 42 nature unknown 1, extra patrol 64, suspicious person vehicle 1, suspicious vehicle 1, suspicious person 1. It's redundant, but I publish them as they're written. Lockout 1, 911 hang up call, abandoned call 1, assist from another agency 1, building checks 5, assist pains 1, citizens assist standby directions 2, civil matter 1, fall victim 1, golf cart inspection 3, invalid assist, lift assist 1, parking complaint violation 1, sick person 4, suspicious circumstances 1, traffic stop 1. I did miss when I converted it over from the sheet to the spreadsheet. There was one, a code 58, which is suicide or attempted suicide. Apologize for that. Talking to Deputy Harhay, it was underage person that took some orally ingested some drugs, I guess, but nothing came out of that. The suicide standard. But that's the point there. So 93 total activities. I know there were some comments from the audience. Bill Glass, they want to amplify, but a lot of small motorcycles on the streets, anything that's gas powered has to have a license, a vehicle license, and a lot of that is missing. There's been tangential to that, there's four-wheelers that are on the streets without tags, or they can't be tagged, so they can't really drive on the streets in any way, shape, or form. It's not like a side-by-side vehicle or golf carts that can be licensed. There's been warnings, Deputy Hardy's given some warnings there. Deputy Hardy, do you want to give any comments on the small motorcycles and stuff like that? Bill Glassnap may have some questions.
Can't drive them. I've warned a couple individuals. Next time I'm gonna tow their four-wheeler. You guys don't need to know who I've warned, kind of irrelevant, but I know who they are, and I'm done playing games with them, so they're gonna get their four-wheelers towed and cited, and maybe they'll get it. Another thing, if you're a parent, or let everybody know, if you let your juvenile ride these, you can be cited or arrested for wrongful entrustment. If you let somebody drive a motor vehicle car, knowing that they're not a licensed individual, or if they're drunk or suspended, you can be charged for wrongful entrustment, so don't do it. If you are a parent, or you know people that are, let them know that. If you do see somebody and want to report it, if it's never been reported to us, it never happened, so call the non-emergency number, the 725-6631. And even if there's not a Chippewa Lake deputy working, they'll send the nearest southwest car, as we call it, which covers the southwest part of the county. They'll come out and handle it. We have to catch them, so obviously keep that in mind. We will catch them eventually if we get same calls. So, like I said, I've said this in the past, don't call the mayor, don't call the safety director, because then they call me at home when I'm on a midnight shift or something, so you call that number and we'll send somebody out and we'll take care of it.
Can you give us that number one more time?
What?
Can you give us that telephone number one more time?
Yeah, 725-6631. Obviously, if it's an emergency situation, you call 911, but that's just for general inquiries or general calls they need to report, such as that.
What about the little electric?
Electric ones, can't do nothing about unless if they ride them in streets that are under a 45-mile-an-hour zone. I don't make the laws, I just enforce them. So that's, I'm just talking about combustion engine motor vehicles, motorcycles, four-wheelers, stuff like that. The electric ones, I know, and I'm not disagreeing, but I've seen people flying on those scooters going probably 30 miles an hour. So, that doesn't mean they still have to obey the speed limits, obviously, so if they're, can't be racing 50 miles an hour, but yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of this kind of come to a head after an accident. And you have a juvenile in an accident, which could be injury, significant injury to that individual, and that usually brings elevated activities from the deputies at that point.
We had a woman get killed over Memorial weekend up in Granger Road, just going for a ride on the back of a four-wheeler, and they were probably going 40 miles an hour, and he rolled it, and weren't wearing helmets. It was on the roadway, it wasn't licensed. Her head hit the rock, and she's dead now, so he's probably gonna get some sort of involuntary manslaughter charge or something, so keep that in mind, I mean.
The charge is really ratchet up, and they can't generally move over to the parent for an underage child. So there's a lot going on there. We try to warn, these are the laws that we live with, so he will enforce them if he catches them. So that, but again, call the bill.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I see more of those motorcycles on the road than I see you or any of your buddies on the road. And I would
You can bring it up to the council,
I would
increase our hours,
appreciate
we'll be in the village more. We only have 100 hours for all the deputies that patrol for the village, so that's all we can patrol for the village. And when we're in the village, we're in the village. If it's outside of that, I don't know what to tell you, it's gonna go to the southwest part, which covers all Lodi, Harrisville, Spencer Township, Lafayette area, Seville area, so it is what it is. I mean, the village contracts us to do 100 hours a month. That's what you guys get for us being in the village. No disrespect back to you.
What is the difference between an electric bicycle and an electric mini bike?
They both can be rode by anybody. They're combustible motors are the ones that we enforce, that have to be licensed.
Just throwing this out there, I could go to BMW manufactures a full-size electric motorcycle.
If it's electric, yeah, but
I can go
Keep
get
in
that
mind,
ride on the road just like a bicycle.
it's under a 45-mile-an-hour zone, yes. But you can't ride on the highway, 55, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, the highway patrol will tell you the same thing.
He probably wrote the best thing in what Clearsmith or wherever it was about what could happen
Oh, yeah.
if you get caught. And boy, if people don't see that, shame on them.
Right.
I spelled it out pretty clear, just like you just did.
Right. I mean, I've seen my 28 years, many people get killed on them. I've seen a lot, my call that affects me more than a shooting or anything I've been in. 11-year-old got killed probably when I had 2 or 3 years on, and rolled on him and suffocated him to death. And countless people get killed on these things. So I'm just gonna start telling them, I don't care, it's like, yeah, maybe you'll get the point then.
With the recent warnings, the drumbeats on the underground are reaching out, and they know that the deputies are serious, so let them do their job. Again, if you see certain things, you need to call the non-emergency dispatch. And that's all we can do. And the other is you just have to catch it in the act. That's the
Just by way of information, $100 isn't a lot of hours, I agree. What's the philosophy on how you spend that time? I just,
So it's been the 28 years, well, I started doing Chippewa in 1998 till now. It's pretty much the same when we do it. Obviously, we have our normal shift we work, so we're on 12-hour shifts. So we work usually 2 on, 2 off, and then you work a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you can work your township, and this isn't just Chippewa Lake, or any of the other townships. We have Granger Township, Sharon Township, Gloria Glens, Liverpool, Litchfield Townships, and you do those extra time either before your shift, your days off, and then you have the whole 30-day period in a month to do those allocated hours. There's 3 deputies that work Chippewa Lake. So when we're in the summer hours now, we have 100 hours, we break those up. Usually 35 hours for me, 35 the other one, 25 for the other deputy, and give or take. We're always 100, 105 hours, 95 hours, we're always within that amount. So, but we, I mean, I work the busiest times. I come out usually 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody's doing it, you know, so it's not like I'm working in the middle of the night on my day off. All the guys that pretty much work, we work during the busiest times.
thank you.
You may not have been here, but there were some budget reductions recommended by fiscal officer last year. So there was about 200 hours out of 1,200 hours taken out of the budget across there. So previously we'd had 120 hours during this period of time. It's reduced down to 100 to compensate for the budget adjustments. Okay. Any other questions for the deputy?
Maybe it has to be revisited, because last month, Gary mentioned that the budget was not as constrained as originally thought.
I didn't quite
So
understand.
last month, you were saying you were constrained on a budget discussion, I think, many months ago. So last month, Gary mentioned that the budget was not as constrained as originally thought. And maybe that could be rediscussed. The thought is that 120 is a proper number.
Okay, I guess we could revisit that as needed and as necessary.
If they do that, that's not up to them, but what we previously did, was we had an extra guy that worked in the summer for those extra 20 hours, so obviously that's out of my hands.
Yeah, we have to petition, and normally this is done, in the last year, so they can budget out what's anticipated, and Deputy Harhay is really the one that communicates to the other two deputies or how many deputies are involved. And of course, you have vacations and injuries and stuff like that that go into that or just the practical issues of how that works. But if we're not constrained from a budget standpoint, I can take a look. But it's on the finance committee, so that decision was made about a year ago, so that's where we are right now on that. Any other questions for?
How many more days do you have?
Five retired, 11 months,
Oh, 11 months?
but I might be getting rehired. So I might still be, it's just I'll be getting a pension and starting over. We'll see. I have other job offers already lining up.
Okay, thank you,
Yep.
That's fine. Let me do fire.
Yeah, go ahead. Jim, you can go if you need to.
What, ma'am?
Go.
Okay.
Thank you.
On, I probably already passed out the May 25, Chief Kavanaugh, Chief Assistant Chief Holtzman are in Brunswick. The former fire chief at Seville, Cypher, has accepted the new role in Brunswick. He's being inducted or initiated today, so they're taking care. So I'm going to just give a quick overview. So 29 or 69 incidents last year, or this last month. 47 were in the daytime, 22 were in the nighttime. Chippewa Lake had 10 of the 69 incidents. Go to the percent, 75% were rescue EMS, 3% were fire, 2% were false alarms, 7% were good intent calls, 3 were service calls, 2 were hazardous condition calls. The times that they turn out, dispatch time to en route, 1 minute 42 seconds. So that's a minute. Call comes in, they're out in the vehicle, heading out the door in a minute 42. That was last month. Time to date is a minute 50 seconds. Average travel to the incident is 5 minutes and 16 seconds. All of those are unbelievable numbers. Alarm rates, mutual aid was given to Medina, City of Medina, York, Lafayette Townships, Village of Seville, Chippewa Lake, and City of Medina. They did attend they were present for 2 vehicles for the golf cart parade kickoff on May 25th. So I'm sure Pam was appreciative of that.
Appreciate that.
And they have Luke Eurovac and Rob Haas completed their dive rescue certification. It was a 2-year process, but we certified as public safety diver. They will be assisted in all hazardous dive team, instrumental in our response to water emergencies on Chippewa. Hopefully we never have to use them. 20 of our firefighters attended electric vehicle response training, provided by Badger Training Company, funded by the All Hazard Team Grant, and Volodymyr Polsky, butcher that name, has completed his firefighter service certification, is attending the firefighter transition course. So that's it for Medina County Fire. The last would be just a siren report. Last month we had significant siren activity due to tornado warnings. There was 2 sirens went off. They are working properly. I did have several citizens come up and say, well, it was really good to have that. And the second one put me underneath my house. Made you pay attention. So it seems to be working properly. The only thing on the report monthly, the dispatch that initiates that sends me a report. It's all sirens in the county. Ours, they're showing power failure. I need to get that. The power failure is that's a solar installation, so there's no power hooked to it. So I need to get that clarified either with Meredith that or Basu and see if that can be changed or corrected, or if that's just the way it's reported. So, tangential to the siren, Christopher Livingston, a young man that started as a high school senior, just finished his degree work for a bachelor's of science in EMS and hazardous warnings or something like that. Two titles in that. He's looking for employment, so drafting up a recommendation letter to him. Mayor Darrow has been very appreciative of what he did to initiate and help us move through to get that siren going all the way from beginning and sorting through what was there, what we needed, what we could do, what's the geographic range, what was the budgets. And we ended up a year ago getting a $35,000 one-time strategic investment grant from the state. And that's the end of that story.
I think everybody in the village could write him a recommendation if they wanted to. And he started out, he was a 16-year-old high school student, now he's a graduate of Akron Youth, so that's how many years it took to get this done, and he's worked with us. I don't know if we'd have gotten anywhere without his input there.
I gave a lot of initiative. Last I looked, the last active report that I could find was 2007, when the siren actually activated. So that's a long time ago. And we tried the fire department, we tried Lafayette Township, we tried the county, nobody would take any responsibility for it. So I had to go back and learn about radio frequency engineering, that's other stuff. So thank Christopher for moving us forward to a point where we can negotiate for the grants. Those should be negotiated properly for the sirens and make sure it covers the territory that we're looking at. The siren covers all of the waters of Chippewa Lake and of course, any of the villages around here. So thank you, Christopher. And that's all I have for safety.
Okay, well, I'll throw this into safety. There's been some comment and questions about fishing from the wall. We talked to Alan Michelson about it, and the property, the lakefront properties from the bridge down to the Oaks are for the use of the village residents for their recreational use. That would qualify fishing as a recreational use. So village residents are allowed to be there, non-residents are not. Now, how you're all gonna tell the difference on that, I don't know. It's kind of tricky. We don't really have an ordinance against that because Alan says it's basically covered in those deed restrictions. So unless we want to spend our time calling the police on, at least in the springtime, it seems to be a lot of little kids fishing. I guess we live with it, unless you want to go further. But that would be a hard thing to enforce. First, you would have to identify that the person, the starting thing would be that you have to identify the person as a non-resident. Some of the people that have been complained about a little bit with their fishing, if I understand right, are residents. So even though we do have the boating community, we still have people that enjoy fishing.
I think one of the issues was fishing tackle drifting into the beach area. Is there anything we can do to restrict 50 feet or so around, each side of the beach?
Well, we probably could, and you are looking into replacing that sign down there.
Yep, yeah, we could put that 50 feet. I mean, is that,
Would that be something we'd have to make an ordinance stating in order to put that on the sign, or?
I would think so, yes. Yeah, because I plan on putting the sign together soon, but
You might as well include the boat ramp in that too,
Yeah, yeah,
the area around the boat ramp.
that would fall within that 50 feet.
Because people, I mean, we all know that the fish hook problem is the problem, you know, that the hook could be there in the water and people cut their feet on them, and it's happened over the years. So, yeah, you can, if you guys
Yeah,
want to make
send an
something like
email
that.
to Alan to see if that's something that we can do, you know, put on the sign 50 feet, or do we have to pass something? I don't know, I'm probably,
I would think for it to have any meaning, it'd have to be a ordinance.
yeah.
We need him here to,
We need his input in the matter. My opinion.
okay, Gary, so, want to ask him to,
Okay.
you're supposed to be his spokesperson or whatever,
Okay, yes, I'll ask him about that.
to, get something together for the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, we will hold off on that sign then until then. I can put a temporary one up if there's, I mean, no dogs allowed, yeah. I mean, is that really a real problem? I mean,
Joanne,
Seem,
I have a story that's, I think, pertinent. Simons's dock, just 2 weeks ago, a young family, 2 kids and husband and wife, were fishing on Simons's dock. And the person whose boat is on the dock said, and there's a big sign, private property, you know. And they were on the dock fishing, and he asked them to leave. They would not leave. And so, this person happens to be an ex-cop, and he was handling it nicely, but he said, you know, I'm gonna call the police, because you are not allowed, there's a lot of reasons why. And they said, no, we wouldn't leave, and they said, we have 13 more minutes, and maybe we'll leave. And they were kind of, so he did call the police, and they did show up.
well, that would be, because I'm pretty sure that, most of those docks have no trespassing on
They
them.
are, yeah, all of them.
So
But
that
it
right
has
there would
So
be-
here's a sign that says no trespassing.
Yeah, but we're talking about the wall.
I know, man, I'm just saying, the same thing,
What happened? Did they leave?
people don't look at signs.
No, but
Or they ignore.
there's a way to get their attention, and that, they would be
Because it said
doing
no
the right thing,
trespassing,
they're
what's the
probably.
difference, you know? Anyway, they didn't file charge or anything, they just eventually left after the police came. But it was like, it was so silly.
It's still CYA. I mean, if you got that sign there, if you don't, something, I mean, it's.
Well, I had somebody reach out to me about this issue of fishing from the lakefront, and people are more than happy to tell them what they are and are not allowed to do, but there were no guidelines. I said, I don't know the answer to that question, if you're allowed to fish from the lakefront. I mean, that's how we got on this topic of discussion. Because there were people sitting on their boats, they're like, there's people on a dock, they're fishing down here on the lakefront, I don't think they're supposed to be here. I said, I don't know.
Well, in a lot of the cases that I've heard of this spring, it has been residents. I mean, there are residents that like to fish, just like there's residents like to boat and swim and ski and whatever, so,
So what about, like, if we're gonna do this, what about something, like, we have the signs on some of the roads that say, you know, no parking from here to the corner or something like that? Would it be, what if we do get an ordinance, something that says no parking or no fishing from here to the beach
can do
with
that.
an arrow pointing?
I'm on the
You
park
have
district
separate
site right
signs, it's not a
now.
bad
I'm
idea.
sorry?
I'm on the park district site right now. Their new Medina County Park rules and regulations specific to Chippewa Lake. Fishing from watercraft is prohibited 50 feet of docks within the slalom course and established water skiers. It's also prohibited in designated swim areas. So we could probably have the park district back us on this.
That's only from the boat, that's not from the land. We've already, Deb Horning and I verified that, it's not,
Okay,
it's only from a boat. And they're still boating right up to the docks and fishing, right?
they are, you're right, we see them at nighttime. But is there any way we can piggyback from this for ourselves?
So like, you mean the fishing and the swimming, doesn't even.
Yeah, because you're talking about 50
Yeah, I
feet
do.
around that swimming
Well-
area.
Is that enough?
50 feet?
Yeah, is that enough?
I can cast that bar.
Yeah.
Well, what's the definition? Is it where the hook is, or is it where your boat is?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You
the
can cast
other,
a long way.
the other issue
Just in case it be
too,
where the ball is.
Yeah, it's not the boat, it's the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but if you're on the wall-
Most fishermen, because they don't,
Oh, there.
same thing fishing from land, you could still snag someone's boat, you
Right.
could- and.
I mean, could we make an ordinance that prohibits people fishing by the docks?
I just thought they were gonna go to Point Park, I don't know why.
I would go to Point Park
Right.
too, that's a nice open area,
That's
and you
gonna
can
have-
wade out to the water a little
You're
bit.
gonna have to ask Alan about that, because he's the one who brought up.
Yeah, right, that's.
That's
They're hiding under the docks.
You know, I'll tell you what I would like to see, back to the safety issue, is if we were going to increase, police presence in the village, I would love to see them get out of their car and walk along the lakefront and, or hop on a bike, meet people, get to, you know, they're
You're not the
pretty much,
first person to say that.
they're very consistent officers in our village, maybe a handful. I mean, it would be close proximity for them to run back to their car if there was an emergency. I feel like they're doing a lot of sitting up here at the town hall and sitting at the beach, but our ordinances are not being enforced. So we can create more ordinances and, you know, people can call the police, but this is one incident where someone is calling the police about fishing.
I think I think it's kind of pointless to have a lengthy discussion about the matter without Alan being here. The second thing we need to do is, we need to be completely familiar with the protocol of our assigned law enforcement. What you might find appealing in terms of preventative policing may in fact be prohibited by them.
I do know that we did have, when we had, was it Briarwoods Police Department, Mark? They had the foot patrol, but they also had bike patrol, but I think the sheriff was involved in this too. But they could not be out on foot patrol without there also being a car in the village. There had to be two of them. If one was on foot, another one had to be here in a car. If one was on a bike, another one had to be here in a car.
That was before the village, this thing got rid of the police department that they had. But after Briarwood.
You folks, you need to
Was
understand.
it, because they had those bikes.
Yeah, I can't remember what the chief's name was, but,
Oh, it was Jim.
You need to understand that a fully armed and armored police officer is probably carrying an additional 30 to 40 pounds of gear. They're not going to get out and scamper about unless they're equipped to do so, like a bicycle, or that's a different kind of animal, or a horse. And I can tell you from personal experience as a retired officer, the last thing you want to engage in and look forward to is a foot pursuit.
Again, we're talking about people that are fishing, parking in the wrong spots.
I
We're not talking about-
understand what you're talking about, Leslie. I do. And I appreciate your concern, but you need to understand the other side of that.
The other thing you got, with simple math, 100 hours a month is divided by 30, it's only 3.5 hours a day.
Pretty
It's
much.
not a lot of time that they're being paid to be here.
and they do it in what, 6, 8 hour shifts?
Well, typically, they spend their time here by adding extra hours on
So
to.
another 12 hours and turn it into 16.
So you could do it
4
like
hours.
3 hours, they'll do 3 hours before, 3 hours
So-
after their shift, typically.
It's not a singular thing. It's a problem full of a lot of pieces and parts.
Yes, yeah, I still think we should be able to say we want you here these hours. And, you know,
There's no staff available for that.
6 feet, well, then maybe we're at the wrong place.
Well, there's only 27 deputies in the whole county,
But
and it covers 7 days, so divide 7 into 27. You understand what you're working.
Alan, the police that showed up was the ODNR police, and I didn't realize it was docks.
Well, you meant Ohio Park. Well, yeah, you're on the water, so really the park
I'm
covers
just saying,
everything. It
it
touches
wasn't
the
our
water.
guys that showed up. They called the normal line, but they ended up getting ODNR, which is good, that's good.
And maybe there's other alternatives. I mean, there's HOAs and communities that have safety patrol or something, you know, I'm not saying it has to be local. Maybe there's other options, maybe we should look
Big
into it.
difference.
Are these major crimes in your eyes?
No, I think that,
I mean, we should be lucky this is all we have.
I guess that's one way to look at it.
Yes.
in the conversations I've had, again, I feel like the fun police, but this could have a trickle down. If we don't enforce our code, why do we have codes?
Well, on this one, we really don't exactly, the fishing one.
Well, yeah.
And it's not like this isn't just new to this year, this is an annual event.
This is, again, it's something we keep talking
And
about
it
every
mostly
year.
takes place in the early spring because of the way the fish bite.
Yeah, there used to be signs, no parking signs all along, on every light pole going down across Beachside Boulevard, and they're all gone,
So I'm not the fun police, somebody else was.
Huh?
I said, I'm not the fun police.
I'm just telling you what, I don't know where they went, I don't know if some of our people took them down, but, you know, I made them 20 years ago. So, that kind of stuff happens, but you know, I mean, there are nuisance issues, but, they can cause us a major crime, is somebody ill, you see the things that they have to deal with, so. It's a difficult situation. But if it's on the water, it's the lake, it's the park district, period. And they got up to 10 feet off the little shoreline, so that's who it needs to call. I think on the one where the ODNR showed up, or the park did, and Harry called me and says, what should I do? Well, you can go down there, but if it's on the water, it's park district. He doesn't have jurisdiction. I mean, in theory, he has jurisdiction, but not really. So,
So the dock is private property, you're saying the police have no jurisdiction over private property?
it's on the water, it's in, you know, it's all controlled by the park district. You have,
Well, the park
Yeah.
district, they're not rangers anymore, they are police. Their vehicles are not labeled as rangers, they're,
You can go down Beachside any day you want, there's cars parked all along Beachside, they're not residents. I saw them going into the beach, parking Sunday evening, they get out of their truck, I know it's not a resident, they go over there fishing at the beach, right by the fence. I've yet to see a policeman give anybody a ticket in this village. I don't know if it's ever happened or not. We've got all these bans, you can't park here, you can't park there, during these hours, no parking on this street, but yet the police drive right by them, they don't even stop. And I know people have called the police tons of times for point parking, and they've never written a ticket to anyone yet. So I'd like to know what the role is on parking in this village. Do we have these signs up for nothing? Are we gonna enforce them? And why don't the police write tickets? They know what the rules are here.
And why are we paying for a parking pass if you can park in the parking lot anyway without a parking pass?
Exactly. Sunday evening, there were 7 cars parked at the beach, none of them had parking passes.
So what I think we gotta do is start calling that non-emergency.
So it's not gonna matter if they don't write a ticket.
typically, they'll come down and just give a warning. And they'll move it, so.
Well, I plan on starting a call, because when I drove up here today, there was 6, of those motorbikes down at Home Park. So when I see them from now on, I'm gonna call the non-emergency number.
So what to do?
That's what we all have to do.
There was one today that was on, a little girl, she couldn't have been more than 6, 8 years old, on not a motor, not an electric bike, on a scooter. Now, the dad was with them, but there were 2 kids, and they were zooming down. This kid was no bigger than this on a motorbike, on a motor scooter.
Looks like a motorcycle.
Yeah, it looks like a
Yes.
motorcycle.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one I'm talking about, there's no.
And this little girl was this
It's not a
high.
motorized bicycle,
Well, I
it's a
said,
motorcycle.
oh my God, how could she even balance it? I mean, that's how young she was. And they were going like, I thought, oh my, and they come zooming down our hill. They did stop, I will say, that group, normally they don't usually stop, but they did stop at that stop sign, but crazy. Anyhow,
Alan, did you have a report from the park district?
Yeah, there is no report from the park district from May. No activity, no citation activity on the lake. It was not very good climate, both cold and rainy. Same deputy or officer Ruby that patrolled last year, so he's under the same protocols, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 hours a day. During that, typically 10 to 6 was what I thought he was required to be at. Whereas he has launching a boat, retrieving a boat, all inside that. But that's when the coverage is coming. But a lot of people don't even have their boat in. I'm one of those, just because of weather conditions or whatever. So that's where he is. I know Nate Epic through have published different things either through the newsletter or through our 4 people that work with them from the communities, just communicating on those kinds of activities. But if it's on the water, it's the park district. So simple as that. And they can show up on land or they can show up on water.
That's not to say that the sheriff's department won't show up and put things under control until the proper authority gets there.
That would be true.
Do those motor scooters have to be a certain age on a motor scooter?
No.
No, the electric or gas?
Well, I'm, like I asked, it's a motorcycle, there's no pedals on it, versus an electric bicycle which has pedals.
Yes, right.
You can make that go without the motor. And I was under the impression that if you were on a motorcycle, regardless of what was powering it, you had to be a licensed driver.
Yeah. Anything that's gas powered has to have a license.
I won't party. BMW makes a full-size electric motorcycle. According to the FDRA, I can get that and ride it right now without an endorsement or
I
nothing.
think that has to be titled though. That's, I was in the impression, the electric bikes, that
He
are
just
big.
said, he said the state patrol said the same thing. I know how to read ORC, I disagree, I think those little scooters are motorcycles, and that people are just being lazy and don't want to enforce the law, because it's a 10-year-old kid.
Too many lawyers. They get them out of everything, that's why I want to fight it.
So are the police authorized to write tickets? Can they write tickets out here? Are they allowed
Yeah.
for us to write tickets?
They are allowed.
They can write under, the 3 deputies can write tickets under our ordinances. Typically, many times, I know Jorge cites them under an ORC ordinance, dogs, dogs. It's a critical thing, well, you get bit or something like that, but people without dogs chained, well, I'm sure we have an ordinance, but he cites them under an ORC law, which probably duplicates our ordinance.
The other issue we have too, what you mentioned about parking in lots, is that if someone's having a party or an event, the mayor can give them permission to park in lots without parking passes, which she does often, so.
Yeah, somebody today
Sometimes-
just asked about one on Cobble Cliff, because they're having a party and they have nowhere to park, and they park here. Yeah, a lot of times it's the beach.
Same day on holiday weekends, you can tell them no parking tickets on holiday.
Holiday weekends, we're trying to control it. Because we all know there's not enough parking around here when everybody has company. Like the 4th of July, we all know there's not enough parking that day.
So you end up speaking out of both sides of your mouth, and it gets really difficult from an enforcement standpoint.
But yes, they can write tickets,
Parking tickets.
yes,
Do they have a parking ticket book?
Yes.
yes.
They do?
Now, get that straight, it's only the deputies that are on our time. For example, if somebody comes out that's assigned to the truck stop, if you're getting murdered or robbed or something, that police officer will do something about it. If you're calling them out here to write a parking ticket under one of our local ordinances, they don't. It has to be one of our guys. That's confusing to people because they're all the same, but they aren't all the same. So we do have We do have 24-hour day coverage in this village. But when we have our officers on our time, they can enforce our local ordinances. Where a deputy just going through cruising around, not really totally assigned to our village, but to the whole county, will probably not come in and write a parking ticket or kick somebody off the boat ramp or something of that nature. But if you're getting robbed or murdered, they will be there. So that's always a little hard to understand too, because a lot of people don't know which officer is our officer compared to just a sheriff's officer. So you gotta keep a lot of that in mind. It's confusing. Okay, are we ready to move on to zoning?
Yeah.
Okay. Leslie?
Jim, did you want to read this on? There you go. Okay.
June 2025 zoning report, 484 Shorefield, warning for notice of excessive plant growth. 274 Rustic Brook, warning for notice for excessive plant growth. 58 Willowwood, warning notice for excessive plant growth. 597 Lake Road, warning notice for excessive plant growth. 242 Clovercliff, warning notice for excessive plant growth. 109 Clovercliff, warning notice for excessive plant growth. Permits and variances. 229 Willowwood Drive, pavilion over concrete patio. 430 North Vale Drive, fence.
That's all we got.
And that'll be it for the month of June.
Jim, do you send people out, do we still send people out at some point to mow these properties that don't get mowed? Put out a tax bill, or have we not done that in a long time?
We haven't done it in a couple of years because people have caught up on their, when they get the notice, they correct it in whatever time that they do. But we can, I had a guy come down to look at the one on Rustic Brook that was real bad, to try and give me a price for what it would be for him to do it. By the time he got back to me, they had already cut it. So we have to hire landscape companies to come in and take care of that kind of thing. And then that goes on the tax.
I know we haven't done that for a while, but I know we used to.
Their charge, whatever the landscape company charges to do it, plus there's a filing fee and whatever that goes through Gary. Gary does that. I think it's a $30 fee or something like that. It might be $100, I'm not sure.
I don't recall.
It's been, it's in the ordinance.
Do you have anything else for zoning? Okay. Community relations, Tamsa. By the way, Tamsa, nice newsletter.
Thanks.
It's very large, a lot of work.
I cut a lot of it out, surprisingly. As large as that newsletter is, I actually put a lot of things on the chopping block. Not that I wanted to, but it's very lengthy. Speaking of the newsletter, I want to thank Pam and everyone who helped me spread the newsletter throughout the village. I know that's a lot of work too. I know she's got it down pat.
I do.
Yeah.
The people around here are wonderful. I send out a newsletter, and because of Lisa and doing all of our pride wars, I know exactly how many houses are on every street. So I just count out the number on the street, put the name of the street on the stack, send out the thing, come pick them up at my house. Everybody grabs a street, and some take more than one, but if they just take one, everybody took those and they were out that weekend. So they really, with having the help from residents, it has made it so much easier.
Are there any left?
Yes, we just brought some up here.
Okay, good, because I didn't get one, but I'm assuming my house got passed because I wrote it, which I have it on my computer, but I like to have a physical
Yeah, we
copy as
brought
well.
some.
There's some at the post office too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
they
keep
are-
one for myself, I just took the whole box to your house and put it on your kitchen table. Also, we had a kids party this past weekend. We did flower planting with the kids and seeds. I had a handful of kids, I had about 10 kids that showed up, and they had a good time. They absolutely enjoyed it, getting messy, getting dirty. I want to thank Nancy Jeffrey for helping me with that event. It was a small event. I think I do want to try that again in the future. Maybe make some signs. I didn't want to invest in the signs because to have signs made sometimes isn't cheap. And if it was going to be a flop, I didn't want to spend the money on the signs. I was being cheap.
And her mom was down there pulling weeds and stuff, like.
Yeah, she just got, yeah, she was down there having a good old time just by herself. Yeah. Mhm. I do have a movie date for July, but I want to coordinate with you and Porch Rockers because I don't want to clash. So if you could send me a list of all the Porch Rockers, because I know when I wrote the newsletter, there was a handful.
Yeah.
And now I'm sure there are probably are a few more. So I'd like to coordinate that, but I look forward to a movie in July. Down at Point Park, weather permitting, if not Point Park, we have done it up on the hill by the tennis courts. And that was a little nice venue too, if Point Park got rained out or flooded. And then lastly, if anybody can assist me someday before the next meeting, my owls aren't pairing. We've only got one owl that is operational right now. I can't get them to communicate. So Lisa, I don't know if Mark is available maybe to meet me up here one night before the next council meeting to see what I need to do and how I need to learn how these guys work together and what I'm doing wrong. Thank you.
Ed Nagy was probably more instrumental than Mark was. On
Maybe I'll reach out to Ed, but I know Ed's been really busy
He has.
recently. He's been very busy recently.
But he seemed to be dialed into this particular part of technology.
And then I received in my packet this week, the 2024 annual report for NOPEC. I'm not going to read this whole book to you, but I am going to share it and put it on the table. So if you're interested in their 2024 annual report, you're more than welcome to pick it up, take a look at it. And that's all I have.
Okay, Barb, building and utilities.
Okay, let's see. I did get the lights put on the building. I picked those up from Home Depot, and those are installed. I think they look really nice. The new lights, the new carriage lights that were purchased with the NOPEC money. They look nice, and I only got zapped once.
Just like to go around, doing it only once.
Just a little jolt. I wanted to apologize to Ken for not getting the temperature adjusted for the beach attendant meeting. I had it written down on my notes, but I forgot to put it in my calendar, so I forgot to do that, so I apologize for that. Back to the lights. Gary, do you need the packing slip that was on that the boxes for those lights, or do you need any of that stuff?
Not necessary.
Okay, all right. And then the power has been turned back on at Point Park, and that generated a little bit of confusion because it was a new account number, and we just switched over from Ohio Edison to NOPEC, an electric supplier. So there was some confusion with that, and then there was discussion about leaving that with Ohio Edison. I sent out an email, but I didn't hear back from anybody, but there was conversation about leaving the power on longer at Point Park.
I saw them down there turning, it looked like they were turning.
Yeah, they turned it on, but there was a request made to leave the power on throughout the winter for the Christmas lights. So if we're gonna have it on for 9 months of the year and shut it off for 3, we might as well just leave it on.
No, I answered one of those emails that was between Alan and Kayla and I don't know, everybody.
And I
I just said that I thought it sounded like we'd be better off leaving that account with Ohio Edison, and there was an email from Caleb kind of agreeing with me on that one.
Well, but then I replied back to it that because the request had been made to leave it on for the Christmas lights, for Pride Committee or whoever's hanging Christmas lights at Point Park, that I said, I'm pretty sure I sent it, maybe I didn't hit send, I don't know, but I had said, there's no sense in shutting it off, we'll just leave it connected with NOPEC and get that rate and then leave it on year round instead of turning it on and off.
The carrying cost was roughly $95 to $125 a night of Oh,
A
for
month?
those special, for each month for those special polls. So if you have some budget issues, you may want to think through. The other was, I was waiting for NOPEC. I've been traveling the last 2 weeks, so it's been NOPEC to get back to us on their advice on how to do it. We can do it either way.
She sounded to me like she didn't want to be bothered with that.
No, it sounded like that just leaving it with the Ohio Edison.
Yeah, that's the impression I got.
So that's $95 to $120 a month?
Correct. Take a look at your bills.
I don't have access to it.
I thought you went through all this, because I had to go through all those numbers and align them. It's kind of surprising.
Yes, surprising.
Each one, like, same thing up at the at the tennis court. So it's
The
not.
tennis court and the White House.
Same thing with
are high.
the cost of operating the electric on the pond, Reese's Pond. So, yeah, I mean, you have a budget issue to think through. What's the worth of that? That's, for the years and for the months we're here, it's really valuable. I'm sure Pam needs electric for her programs. I know Tammy needs electric for her programs. But do you think it's worth $500 to keep it on in February and March? You know, you gotta ask yourself those questions.
Well, no, I didn't realize that it was that much per month, because I don't see the bills.
I put a spreadsheet. I thought you saw that when we were doing the aggregation.
I didn't know that was included in that spreadsheet. I didn't see that.
Well, the
I have-
Point Park wasn't, because it wasn't an active account, so that was one that kind of slipped in on us. But if you look at the one for the tennis court, look, and then the same issue would come up with Reese's Pond, because it's gonna be only operated in certain periods of time. So there's just a question you have to ask yourself.
It's very expensive.
Yeah, it surprised me. And that doesn't include the new rates, so it might be changes.
And that's just to have power there. It does not include usage.
When we use it.
No, not when you use it.
Right.
That's a per
Just to
month
have it.
cost. Period.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we
Usage
all try to be
is
as
on top.
frugal as we can.
Yeah, it is
Per ball.
Hmm.
It's a real waste of.
Water's turned back on too, so.
Yep.
If you need it for water and it's turned back on, the water fountain should be working too.
It was.
I would just like to ask that any groups or people that are using the building, if you're coming in and you have food or drinks with you and you put it in the garbage can, I ask that you empty the trash cans out. And you can get the liners in the janitor's closet, but I came in after one group about a week later, and it was pretty ripe in here, so, I think somebody had some Chipotle in the trash can or something, so. And I did, attend the, NOPEC, had a program that they're partnering with a program to provide solar energy for communities. So I did attend that online Zoom meeting. I missed like the first 15 or 20 minutes of it, but basically they're trying to set up a program and they're gonna have a series of webinars that you attend. And it's gonna talk about how to incorporate solar energy into your. I'm not sure if that's something that we're gonna lean towards. You can get credit for attending these meetings and different things, but sounds like a lot of it requires like an electrician's knowledge to understand some of the stuff. So I signed up to attend some more of the webinars and see where it goes, but I don't know if that's something that the village would be interested in or not. Throw some solar panels on the roof of the building and power the building with solar instead of Ohio Edison or NOPEC.
Well, thanks for going to that.
The person that helped us with our pond maintenance also installed solar panels on their rooftop and is converting the energy. So you could probably discuss with Ken who that was, and you guys could talk to them. It's been a
It's
good.
expensive.
They're actually generating electricity that's going out now.
Right, but it's expensive.
Just need to figure out the ROI on it.
Right.
Never mind. How long does it take?
So, recoup your costs.
You never will.
I know, I really will. So, I think that's all I have.
Okay, Ken, parks?
Well, we had a public sale, that went very well. For the applications and the lake access passes, stickers, keys and whatnot. There's still applications at the post office, there's still some over there as well. So, thus far, Amber gave me the totals, this is through today probably, or through yesterday. Total income, $20,025. MCPD, portion is $10,875, and the village portion is $9,150. So that was a lot of people, a lot of passes. Lock installation at the gates, that's installed. We had a little snafu there, but we took care of that. The barrel came out of it, but we took care of that. The beach is open for business. Everything's going well. So far, so good. Haven't had any major issues, no problems.
We're gonna, an update on the beach actually from this afternoon is that Thursday night they're making another attempt to put the platform back.
Yep, I was about to mention that. Yeah, the diving platform, it's repaired. It's ready to go back in, but we're waiting for some parts, I believe. Alan, did you say
The Park District ropes are waiting.
Oh, the Park District ropes,
They want,
okay.
they want them in first, but I did get an update this evening about 6:30 that they're gonna make an attempt on that diving platform again on Thursday night.
Good, okay, yeah. All right, and of course, I'm assembling a team to put our Air Max, aerating machine over here in Reese's Pond. So just, getting some people together and get that taken care of, probably this weekend possibly, in the next week and a half, 2 weeks at the most, but it'll be done this month. And once it's in, so it's installed, doesn't come, you don't have to remove it, every year, you just keep it going.
Have they, the chemicals that were supposed to go along with that been put in?
Yep. I know, you have to wait till the aerator.
So it needs to be done.
Yeah, it's a whole process.
Okay.
But it looks like it's fairly, pretty easy to put in for the most part, just dig a couple ditches and whatnot. And then, of course, we are replacing our beach sign, the sign at the beach, talking about the rules and whatnot, that when we lost that tree at the beach, it took down the sign. I sent an email out to anyone have any suggestions on any additions to those rules on there?
Well, you can put the fishing thing in there.
We're gonna do the fishing thing, so we're gonna probably have to wait on it. And some of
Didn't
these,
that sign used to be on the fence?
yeah,
So what happened to that one, do we know?
it's all bent up from the tree. I have it in my house.
Okay,
If
that's,
somebody knows how to, I was trying to straighten it out, so I could hang it in my garage. So I would take my golf cart, park it on it, and, that thing, it comes right back up. Unless somebody has a good idea, if somebody is able to straighten out a bent up sign, I don't know.
Is it made of wood?
No, it's made out of, steel, just normal sign. I mean, we need a new one anyways.
we do.
They have some strange rules on here, like you can't have a picnic at the beach. I don't know who came up with that. I mean, I think that's kind of nice having a picnic. And
Why can't you have a picnic on the picnic?
those are the rules.
Can we change it?
Of course, I don't think they're the rules actually in our rules, but they're on the sign. That's been there for a million years. There's just the
But
sign.
if you're making a new sign.
We're not gonna have it on there. Yeah, we're not gonna have it on, and also it says, no throwing sand or stones, but I don't think you need to put that on the sign,
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
No feeding wildlife. It does not say no fishing, surprisingly. We're gonna add that to it.
I feel like I've said this before, but in some of the locations where we're having an issue, there are some empty boxes where notices could be posted. Point Park, the beach, we could put, print something laminated and pop it in the box.
Yeah, but
Post
this,
sports trackers, we can post,
no, I think that's a great, utilize those things. Yeah,
just sitting there,
yeah, they were Gary's, he needed that for our
and we
announcements.
don't anymore. We
Yeah,
talked
so-
about using them for something. I have a laminator, we could print some nice things.
Do you still
See
have
if
to
people-
post, do we still have to post the ordinances there?
No,
No,
You can't hardly read through those boxes, it's not real big.
Plexiglass, very,
so we could replace that.
I think we should try it. I think people are gonna, if they notice something in there, they're gonna look at it. I don't know.
Well, if you have a laminator, why don't you?
I'll-
Yeah, flash your sign with an arrow. Only way they're gonna look at it.
What else you got, Kim?
That's it.
Can't wait,
Yes.
they know to do the weeds at the beach and pull weeds, I know it's been really rainy.
Yep.
But there are a lot of weeds down there.
Yeah, we'll get on them about that. That's important. I noticed that
It
too.
is, it's just, there's no, there's standing.
I got my weekly call from Keith too. He told me what I need to do.
Did we ever look into pricing on sand for the beach?
Yep, yeah. Yeah, well, that's gonna happen. We're gonna make it happen, but I don't have the pricing numbers on me right now, but it's reasonable enough. But we're gonna get a load, dumped.
Did you want to talk about the handyman,
About the what?
the handyman position that's been applied to?
Oh, right. Bill Glassnap, everybody knows. Where's he at? There he is.
nobody.
He does a lot of work here in the community. And, a while back, he was basically our handyman or our village maintenance, professional. And he's going to take that role on again. The role is, we're not sure exactly, what he's gonna be in charge of doing, pretty much fixing everything, or fixing things that need to be fixed and whatnot.
Can we deputize him and he can take care of some of these problems?
You'd be really good at that. We get a little siren for the top of his golf carts. And I ordered him a shirt, so he's gonna have a shirt, looks like this one a little bit.
Take a life insurance policy on.
Yeah. A badge.
Expect to see about 3 hours.
But I don't know if that's something that we would need to vote on that, or we just, is everyone in agreement? I mean, the role is kind of loose right now. I don't think we have it all hammered out exactly. Any discussion, anyone have any
I
ideas?
appointed him several years ago, I didn't know he was unappointed. You have to reappoint him every year?
Well,
No,
he retired.
yeah,
Or he
For
retired?
health issues, and now he's feeling better.
He's
and
double
will do
dipping.
it. And Bill, would you like to talk about what you plan to do and how you want to be compensated?
I don't want to be compensated.
Well, that's what I want you to say.
You're at stake, if I buy something, if I pay for something, Gary and I have something going that he reimburses me through Ken, and everything will go through that guy.
oh,
'Cause he's my boss.
oh, boy.
We do this. Because, it's his.
How heavy is
money,
the crown?
And he knows what needs to be done. And sometimes if he doesn't, I do it anyway.
Thanks, Bill.
And it's something that I'd like to do.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Gary, do you have anything to say about that?
Bill, the only thing we'll need you to do is sign a new waiver release. So if you could do that tonight before you leave, we'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need to vote on?
I don't have no idea. That's something that, is everyone in agreement to bring, Bill back as our maintenance, professional?
We did a great job last time.
Yeah?
All in favor?
Jill, I have a request. I request that Bill communicates with whoever's affected prior to doing work,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
not after the fact, prior to.
You have an example.
That's for permission.
Yeah, give us an example of what you're talking about. Whoever's affected. Me.
I think it's just a matter of common sense. We all have responsibilities, each of us. So if Bill feels he's gonna trim a tree or trim a bush or have a discussion before you take action.
I thought he was the handyman.
That's Bob's job, trimming.
Right.
Well, he's gonna take on a few different handyman, meaning, he could fix things, repair things, but there's also some other stuff that you would like to help with. But we haven't really touched on.
I just wanna have a dialogue before, not after the fact.
worried about cost of it?
No, I'm worried, I am concerned that we know what's going on. I don't want the answer to be, oh, that's just Bill being Bill.
The other day, he just hammered back in those little holders for the.
And that's a simple, that's a simple thing.
So just a fine.
But if a tree needs to be taken down, well, that's something that, you know.
He's not gonna be taking trees down.
How well do you know Bill?
Well, let's back up. How did this come about that we're hiring?
Not hiring him, he's been doing this, so he's been doing that just the whole time.
That's what I thought.
Position.
We're just making it more official.
I mean, I thought Bill did things like, repair the benches and.
Well, he did, but then he stopped for health reasons. Now he'd like to just be back being kind of the village handyman when he sees little jobs.
But not on people's properties, right?
No.
On the, like at the.
Well, not so far.
Yeah, for example, you replaced, fence posts recently.
On our property.
On our property, oh yeah, he's not gonna be knocking out people's doors, going around back and whatnot, you know.
I don't understand that.
It's just our property, our stuff.
You fixed the train at Point Park.
Okay.
Get all choked up. Bill is a very talented, very competent, and extremely complete repair guy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just want to know about it beforehand,
right,
not after.
right.
So when our phone starts ringing and complaining, we'll be able to defend him, right?
That way we know.
Right.
Yep. And we've already discussed it and.
I wouldn't want to get a phone call, you know, this is his turf, but who's that guy down there repairing those trains?
When Kelsey and
I
the
didn't know they
kids
were
painted
broken.
the train at Point Park, people came down there and asked them if they were vandalizing. They're like, yeah, we're wearing park attendant shirts with paint cans in our hand vandalizing the train. Like, yeah, I get
And
it.
so it's just,
Yeah.
sometimes I think communication or the lack thereof at times becomes commonplace.
Well, but
And
you're
hang on, and you end up responding, gee, I don't know.
right.
No.
I'm not a fan of I don't know.
The
I wanna
problem is
know up
that
front.
that should go across the board.
Yeah, that's
Because,
all I'm clarifying.
because there's a lot of things that go on that maybe I know, or Ken knows. I don't know that Ken's got the people painting the train at Point Park. Is Ken supposed to tell everybody on the council? Like, are you saying we need to let the whole community know, by the way, Bill is,
No, just apply a little, don't make this a big, this is just common sense. This is,
If Bill's doing something in parks, Ken should know.
And he does, he's always.
yeah.
If he's doing
Yeah.
something with zoning, you should know,
Yeah.
Leslie. My question is,
right.
how does he fall under the village's liability insurance policy with this?
He does.
He signs that release.
Okay, so now where does the village come in if he does something that gets messed up and we get sued?
So hence the reason for the communication, all right? If Bill were to call me up and say, hey, I'm gonna do such and such, I might respond, no, wait a minute, let's talk that through. Let's get the proper approval, because that's more than a couple of nails on a hammer. But I don't know that till I have that communication.
But to answer your question, if we give them the okay to do
Same thing.
it, well, then I would imagine that the liability would fall on the village.
And that way we're protecting Bill.
Kind of a
And
stupid,
protecting
stupid
the village.
example here, say he fixes the train, and lo and behold, he drove that nail too far through the board that's sticking out, some kid gets cut on it, and now the village gets sued.
General liability. That's what
Yeah,
they
yeah,
pay.
we would get sued, he would not get sued.
Bill is covered under that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
but not him, he wouldn't,
He would.
he would, yeah, he would fall on us, it'd be involved here.
Are you questioning those words?
No, I'm not.
Well,
I've
Bill
seen
did
it
a great
work.
job last time he did this, and I for one am grateful to have him want to do this again.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of
It's a big
little
help.
things that happen around here that it's just great to have somebody do it. Yes.
This is an interesting discussion, and I appreciate your discussion, and I appreciate Bill. But just, in terms of communication, you guys need communication, but I think we need communication too. When my daughter's tree was taken down, we had no knowledge that tree was coming up. Shouldn't there be some sharing of information with people when the tree is coming down?
We talked
Was it
about
her
that
tree?
for 3 months.
Pardon me?
We
Was
talked
it
about
her-
that tree for 3 months.
We didn't hear about it, we were at the meetings, I guess. Is that the problem? Is that?
Well, that tree was also in the right of way,
That's
right?
not a problem. Okay.
Ed, tree was in the right of way. We don't notify people in the right of way, it's,
How is that in the right of way, though?
5 feet from the street.
okay, Jim.
What are we talking about?
The tree.
The
Talking
Stevens
about,
tree?
yeah,
big
the
one.
Stevens.
It was in the right of way.
We don't-
You're looking during the right of way.
Okay. You can look at the overhead, and
I will sleep on my.
and the other,
But I appreciate
the
it.
other part of it is.
If you don't mind, I'll just give my.
I was still talking. I did
Oh,
not-
I'm sorry, sure.
As I was saying, it was in the middle of the, it looks like from the overhead, the middle of the property line. You can see on the map, but if you're welcome to get a survey and prove that maybe it was your tree. And if it was, it would have been written up anyways, because it was a dead tree, and you would have had to take it out anyhow. So you're welcome.
I think it's just a matter of communicating, that's all.
Yeah, well, it was kind of a weird time of the year too, and it was hey, this thing looks really bad, let's do this while we're doing this.
It was right after a storm.
It was a hurry.
No, it
Yeah.
was, well, not only that, we had, there was a tree that was asked to be taken down because it was sickly on the square, on the circle. And because the guy had, I think he rented equipment and brought some big equipment in that he doesn't normally use. So 2 months prior, they went around and that tree was tagged for a couple months and it was in the right of way.
And they were gonna pay the circle up there. And we don't normally give people letters, we don't give people letters and notices when we're working on stuff that's in our right of way.
But go ahead, Jennifer.
I want to make sure that you're finished.
Well, you had your hand up, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just give my experience because I'm concerned going forward on the situation, and I appreciate the comments that Bud has made about communication, because we are a small community, and as you all know, there are people who don't spend we have a summer cottage. We are not going, it does not have heating. We turn the water off. We are not going to be here. That doesn't mean we don't care, and it doesn't mean we don't want to be informed. That tree, we had the same people that took the tree out, checked the tree several years ago. He said, that tree isn't going anywhere. This is AJ.
Yes.
So I'll just give you my notes, and this is just for going forward. I found out about it because my parents sent a picture on Saturday. On Sunday, I contacted a neighbor who shared that they didn't know who ordered the tree removal, but that AJ Tree Removal did the work. I called AJ to inquire, same day AJ calls me to explain it, and he goes, I'm not mad at him. He said that the call, I think, was put in maybe early April. Clearly, people on this council know how to get in touch with me easily, and they did not.
So I arrived back last week on Thursday, I realized that all of that line that I was informed about, I was informed that that is not my yard, that is not my, I guess I'm not supposed to take care of the yard. So then the question is, are you maintaining that frontage now? Should I not maintain it? Do I have to get approval now that I have to re-landscape? Those two trees, there's another tree now, those two trees coexisted. So with its mate gone, it's now at risk. It's leaning this way. I feel bad for the mows. It doesn't look good. The whole yard's gonna have to be re-landscaped. I think it's really simple to make a call or a text or an email and avoid the stress and concerns. And I just am wondering why that didn't happen.
Typically,
Because I
when
would do that for anyone.
when we do work in the right of way, it's our property. We don't have
But
to
who made the
contact
decision
people.
on that tree? My tree.
I made a decision on a tree that was in the village right of way that was strangled by ivy and hadn't been taken care of. It was dying and it rotted inside.
Well, I had AJ look, he said.
That was you. He said it's not going anywhere, like it's not gonna fall over.
He
But
called
when
me,
he
he
cut
called
it,
me after
it
he
was
called
rotted.
you, Jennifer, and he said it was not healthy.
Excuse me, you go through and you look at every problematic tree and of all the trees, two were
Every one.
chosen.
We do that several
Two were
times.
chosen
No,
There was like 6 or 7 he took.
that day. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, great.
he took
And
out
then-
2 here at the village hall.
Pardon me?
2 here at the village hall, 1 across the street.
And are you Jim Rainhammer?
That's me.
Yeah, so I've actually called you several times to look at other issues in my property and you never show up, so maybe now you will. Yeah, people who are encroaching like my neighbors and with their golf cart and so it feels like y'all, I'll use my southern, y'all pick and choose when you want to invoke the privileges of the village of Chippewa Lake and when you don't. And I would like there to be consistency and I would like there to be courtesy.
I've been
And I'm
consistent.
sure that tree provided really important shade for us. And like I said, it coexisted with its mate. If you would know anything about trees, if you take one down, probably that second one's gonna need to go now.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about trees because I'm not an arborist, but I do know when it's a dead tree, it needs to come out. And when I'm made aware of it or I see it, it's my responsibility to do it because it comes back on the council in the village. So it's my responsibility to do that and to be as quick as possible in doing that.
So you typically warn people, right?
So when even people have trees on their property, I write them up and I have 2 council members sign and agree with me and have inspected the tree. And that order is handed to them and they have to take that tree out because it's been deemed. And usually I have AJ who will come and take a look for me if he's in the village and I'll be like, I don't know, this one looks kind of dead. He'll go up and he'll check the stump, he'll check the bark, he'll look at the tree, he'll see if it's leaning, whatever. He's like, yeah, it's about time it needs to come out.
he actually said he was glad he left the stump there for you to see how poor the condition.
Yeah, he was gonna come and grind the stumps, but he wanted you to see the stump. It's so rotted inside.
It didn't fall during the storm.
Neither did the other 5 trees we took down.
Question, then, as going forward with the re-landscaping I will have to do, does that need to be approved by you then? Because my neighbor said that she didn't need approval.
It's an adjacent property for you, like, we're gonna grind that stump and try to get that stuff out of there, but it's an adjacent property for you, like, we wouldn't go and cut a 1-foot strip in front of somebody's house just because the village owns that 1-foot strip. It's kind of assumed that the homeowner that's at that property would take care of that area.
Just like if you live in the city and you have a
So in the
sidewalk, you have to mow all
So-
these.
So in the
Tree
same
lawn.
vein then, wouldn't it be kind of assumed that you would let me know that you were gonna change the whole landscape of my front yard? Like, you can't have it one way, it has to be both ways.
We
I'm
can,
just, it's
we can
consistency.
grind it out and we can throw some dirt in there and plant some seeds and grow it. That's what we can do.
No, but I'm saying, when I re-landscape, do I need to have it approved by?
I don't know about your landscaping. If it's on your property, it's your
You just said it's not my property.
So,
Where the tree was taken out was not your property.
right, but that's the
But
frontage.
like I
line.
also said, I could put some dirt in it and throw some seed and some straw and it's done. That's re-landscaping.
Can you be more specific, Jennifer? He's telling you he's going to plant the grass there. What are you saying you need to re-landscape?
She wants to know if she can plant a bush out there.
The entire
You can't
front
plant
yard.
anything in the right of way. You cannot plant anything.
Okay, so my neighbor who has stones and small rocks, and I asked, and some trees, and that wasn't approved, so I'm just confused.
If it's on their property, it's fine.
Okay, but I was told that the line cuts through and.
Are
it's
you
not-
talking about putting stone or planting a shrub?
There's shrubs and there's stones in my neighbor's yard, and they are in front of the line, in which you claim now means that that yardage is
And
yours.
some folks have been going around and just putting stone along the road edge to help when the people are running off the road, which Keith, when he sat on the board, he was also, he was kind of a fan of it because it actually supports that berm of the road. And if you run off of it so many times, it just starts to spider web and crack, and then it breaks off in chunks. So he was a fan of it and didn't say anything about it. I said, well, if you do it for one person, everybody can do it. You're setting a precedent. So
did you want to put stone
you
there?
want to put stone there, put stone there.
Actually, those trees, those cars come around where that cottage sits, the trees come around the circle, and the headlights come right in, and I thought of it as a protective barrier.
It's not on your
Physical?
property and it was not healthy. It needed to be removed.
You can try shades.
Okay, so
Or some other kind
you
of
can't have,
foliage
like
in
you're
front of.
saying, that it's not my property, and then you're saying that of course I'm supposed to maintain it. So you can't, you understand that
You
that's
have to
not.
mow the grass, it's your
Those two things cannot
responsibility.
Actually, she
coexist.
doesn't have to mow the grass.
Did you?
This is an Akron, this is Chippewa, there's no ordinance that says we have.
You're saying 12 feet, goes all the way to my front door. 12 feet.
Well, that would, if everybody felt that way, there would be a huge raise in cost and maybe even an income
I
tax.
understand, I'm just.
Maybe even an income tax that would affect all of you.
I
To help pay for the grass guys.
Okay, everybody, don't all talk at once. Let's calm this down and, kind of come to order here. Jennifer, the tree was not yours. We are not in the habit of notifying people of the trees that come down in their right of way. I've never known them to do that, and we've taken a ton of trees down in the right of ways around this village. So I'm sorry if that disappointed you, but we have never really done that. I'm not sure if Jim Brandenburg has your information.
I'll try again this year.
I mean, you guys, like you and your relatives, are all out of town in the winter, so I don't even know where you'd start to ask. I mean, I know you're friends with my daughter, and, somebody's really looking for you, we could find through Tina, but I doubt that Jim knows you're friends with my daughter. What I'm saying is, he's not in the habit of letting people know.
As soon as I found out you had
That
an
was the
issue,
first time it occurred to you to get in touch with me?
I didn't know you had an issue.
We don't
We don't
get in touch
notify-
with people that streets we take down, we do it all the time.
But as soon as I knew you had an issue, did I contact you immediately?
Yes, she did.
Yes, I did. Joanne called me, she said Jennifer Stevens has an issue. I contacted you immediately, within minutes. We had some back and forth and then you said, I'm sorry.
All you said was that's not your tree.
Actually, that's not all I said.
Yeah.
We had some very nice
Leslie,
correspondence.
I don't want to go to the mattresses with you. I just want to know, when I read landscape, does it have to be approved or not?
No. Here's my understanding, you can do anything you want in the area that's, village property. The issue comes if sewer department comes through there, he's gotta dig that all up, street department comes all the way through there, they've gotta dig something up, snowplow comes through there, takes it out. It's sorry.
No, that's fine.
And you cannot do whatever you want in the village right away. That is incorrect completely.
Oh,
There's certain rules and regulations.
That's our property. If we came
so
onto your
just have
property
you
and
review my plans.
if we came onto your property and put a road there, you would be a little upset with it. It's basically supposed to be understood that there is grass in your front yard. And that's it. If you would like to line the street with the stone, everybody else is doing it, hey, it's a cool thing. Might as well jump in on it, whatever you wanna do. But you can't plant trees, you can't plant a road of hedges. You can't do that kind of stuff when it's not on your property. You can work on your property in that kind of an essence. If you're gonna do landscaping with bushes, any kind of tree planting and stuff like that, it has to be on your property.
Okay, I will have you over because it's not.
If you have any questions, I'd be glad to come over. If you say, this is my plan, I want to do this, just give me a call.
Deal.
Sure.
Okay, were we still on parks?
Yeah.
No,
I do have a question real quick, I'm sorry.
So did you?
Because we didn't talk about it, but I remember last month, at the parks, did the water fountains get turned on?
They are.
Okay,
I
perfect.
mentioned that. I mentioned that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed
You're in charge
that.
of that now.
And then, also, do we have enough room in your budget for a couple bags of mulch around the new power that is at Point Park? I do see that some plants have been planted.
Yeah, so we did plant plants around there. And this mulch situation, I was gonna bring up after the meeting.
Because it could wash away if it floods, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't really wash away, we put it around the trees. And I know they said they didn't have the money in the budget to do it. But we do have the money that we have gotten from the boats, all the stickers, and we were trying to figure out what you were gonna do with that money. Can we not take every year out of that money that we get from there and put that mulch around in our parks?
Maybe you would have to discuss.
That's another discussion in its own
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's a good idea.
There's been a lot of people
I'd
that have
say-
different ideas of how to spend the money, so we're gonna have to work on that one a little bit about what it would be for
I mean,
specifically.
it's sad that they haven't followed through on that mulching. It makes everything look, we try really hard to make everything look really nice, and that's the finishing touch. And if we could just do it in the places
Well,
where.
what do you need, like how many bags? Or do
It's
you
not
have?
bags, I mean, somebody would have.
They dump it?
It's a truckload.
Truckload, okay.
I mean, it's not, but it's something that should be done. I mean, it's just a part of landscaping.
Are you talking about in Point Park where it
Point
does?
Park, the
So what
beach.
about, you get that and then the next week it floods and washes it all away?
Oh, it hasn't done that. It does not wash away. No, it does not.
Okay, anyway,
And it should be done at the beginning of the summer so that we can enjoy it. And when we do it, nobody does it at the beginning when it should be done, and then it never gets done till after the 4th of July. So if we're gonna do it after the floods are done, and that would be Memorial Day, hopefully, if you're worried about that part, but that's never been.
well, it is something you have to think about down at Point Park, you gotta admit.
It's never-
point though, Joanne, is the sign that's at the corner of Long Acre and Bass Bay, or Buffalo Bay. You got a village limit sign right there, and it looks like shit,
So,
because there's no mulch around it. There used to be mulch around there all the time, and now.
So where did the mulch come from all the time before, and how do we
It
rectify
came out of
it now?
parks. It
Came out of parks.
I worked with,
Okay.
who was the guy that died? What's his name?
Mike's fault.
Scout.
Mike Starr. We would go around the entire village and we would discuss exactly where the mulch would be. And I forget who was on parks at that time. She said, Pam, go around and tell them where, that she didn't know what we were talking about.
so have you gotten a price together of how much, did somebody know how much all this mulch costs that we know we can't afford it?
No, we don't know.
Well, then why don't we find out?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can make room for it, because obviously.
Smith Brothers Natural Mulch is less than $40 a yard.
Would you please
Okay.
gather up
If you-
a cost
unless
for
they
Ken
wanted it.
of everywhere that you believe the village needs mulch
Yeah.
and get him that cost?
I don't know about cost, I mean,
Well, that's what we need to know. We need to know what the
Well, you
cost
gotta find out how much you need, so we can figure out how much it
Yeah.
costs, right?
No, let's get this straight, so we would supply, we would pay for the mulch, and then,
no, Tom Keys puts the mulch down. I didn't have anything to do with putting it down.
Well, the village
Okay.
pays Tom Keys, so we
But
gotta
somebody,
figure
you
out.
did say somebody went around and told you how much you need, Mike Steller.
Oh, no, I just told him where it needed the mulch, then he figured out how much.
Somebody needs to do that.
We did the beach, coming down the hillway, and right around the beach signs, we did there, we did Point Park. We did, the triangle up in Bungalow Bay, we had that, now they're taking care of the one end, which was very nice, compared to the other end, which doesn't have any mulch, if you compare the two things, you go up
I
and
have-
up. It's a difference.
Pam, I have a solution. Why don't you and I get together? We'll go give it a look, or you and I and Bob. We'll look at it. And I'll do the rest of it.
Well, the cost is gonna be, having Keys put it down. That's gonna be.
It's labor intensive and there is a cost, so once I have, Tom reports to me, I'm the streets guy, but I also take care of the landscaping and the mowing. And my budget is set aside for that particular activity.
I mean, when they did it
So-
before, that was the priority
So I had Tom,
for the parks.
I had,
I had no idea, nobody, and you said you worked with Sarah, probably, it was Sarah Wren?
Probably Sarah, yeah.
Yeah, and then, I didn't.
so let's just do that. We don't need to hash more about it. I told Tom in an effort to save money, because money was tight, and didn't want to spend extra money. I understand your concern about do it early and be done with it, but the big disadvantage we have this year, been extremely wet. Wet. To drive a truck and a trailer with a load of mulch, it's not really.
I understand that, but that's not every year. I
Did
get it.
somebody tell you this year that we wouldn't do it, or is this the first one?
They said it wasn't in the budget. I just think it should be a priority in the budget for the
Okay,
parks.
okay, so
All right, that's
go
all.
with Bud, figure out how much it is, and let's see if
And
the
we'll
budget
go-
can afford it. I guess we need to know how much.
That wasn't my
That would be
problem.
the starting
They took care of that. All I did was tell them where it had to be, they submitted the
Well,
budget. and-
Obviously, it is partly your
Well, I mean,
thing,
I can
because
tell
you're
them,
telling them where you want it.
I told them where I want it, but I know it was never in on the finance part.
You don't have to be.
No, all you need to do is tell somebody where you
I can
want it
do
and let
that.
them figure it out.
I can do that.
And then it'll either be, yes, we can do it, or no, we can't.
Do we have information from the past of how many yards of mulch were ordered?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
I'm
mean-
sure we have historical record.
I mean, if we have record of how much was ordered 3 years ago, then it's just a matter of ordering that much mulch and, hey, let's have.
No,
No, that's a lot of work.
Let them go around and,
No, I'm just saying, we don't need to like drive around and look around. If you needed 4 yards before, then you're gonna need 4 yards now.
Let me do my thing, okay?
let them go around.
It's my piece of ground. I'll take care of it with Pam.
But I agree, I think it's important, I just didn't know it was,
It just makes it look finished.
no,
I mean,
absolutely.
everything
We got our
else-
sign there, like Bob was saying, our signs over there, looks like crap all around it, it reflects on the community.
It does.
So next year, ask a month early. So we know.
I said
Yeah.
last month.
I didn't, that's.
Well, on here, you say if we can't afford it, and I guess we don't know if we can afford it or not.
Well, yeah, you brought it up
Better
down
find
by
out.
by the beach, right?
Yeah.
You were talking about that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is that all for parks?
No,
Oh, that's right, Bill, you had your hand up. Yes,
my thing was plain and simple
never.
about taking care of some of the maintenance things, and to keep it very, very simple, I report to that guy.
Which guy?
He
Ken?
tells me what to do.
Ken?
Okay,
Okay,
or I ask him, should I do this? That's it, period. I don't need
That
all
works.
you guys on the board to approve every time I go put another.
that was not what they said. Everybody on board was asked to approve having you do this. Now, why anybody would turn down free help like you, I can't imagine, and they did not. They'd like you, but one
You
person.
could just deal with
We
me,
just want one
and then if I
person
need to get permission
to
from
know what
somebody
you're
else,
doing,
then
and you know
I'll
what
do
they're
that.
doing, and Ken is your person.
Thank you.
Mm.
Done.
And if it don't work out, you'll be hearing from me, just so you know. Okay, now we're gonna go to, we are now going to streets.
And streets has nothing to report.
Boom, there it is. Yay. Okay, and Alan Michelson is not here. Do you have a report from Alan Michelson? He said he was giving his stuff to you, but he didn't. Okay. So now we will go to finance. Gary.
Okay. Everybody sign in tonight? Thank you. This past Saturday, I distributed the May bank reconciliation report to council, reflecting all accounts are in balance. Any questions or comments from council? May I have a motion approving, council approving the May bank reconciliation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. This past Saturday, I did distribute to all of council the end of May appropriations report for you to review and be prepared to sign off. Any questions on appropriations through May? I have a motion allowing the council to sign off.
So approved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Get those two going. Thank you. Last month, I provided copies to the mayor and all members of council for the 2026 budget, along with instructions and the deadline for any changes being needed by June 6th. I received no input from council for any changes. I will have an ordinance ready at next month's meeting for submitting the 2026 budget to the county auditor. And on the discussion tonight about monies, do we have them, don't we have them? Every month, all of the council members in their seats are provided with exact levels of where their monies are at versus monies that are yet available. So everybody knows it, none of it's hidden. If any of the council seats have questions, they can always call me and ask. That's never an issue or should never be. We always have the ability to go back in and ask for more money, provided the monies are available in the overall bank accounts and investments that we've got. Those questions can be asked of the fiscal officer at any time. So nothing's hidden, nothing's, out of reach. All we have to do is ask and talk about it. Every year, the department chairs are asked to participate in the budget preparation. Well, hopefully they look ahead, they see what they think they want to do next year based on what they're doing this year. Make sure that the monies I put in the budget are adequate. If not, all they have to do is sit down and talk with me, and we can adjust the budgets. But if nobody says anything that I need more money, or can we do this or that, then the budgets as we have them, they stand. They exist as they are. So we do have adequate monies. The village is on very sound financial footing. There is no issue there for any of these projects. All that has to be happening is discussions and questions and answers. Today, any questions on the 2026 budget? We'll have it ready for council to sign off next month, unless someone on council would like to get with me to discuss the appropriations for 2026. And I'm always available for that, as I've told you previously. Okay, I'll move on. Today I spoke with the audit manager, because we've had our audit documents out for goodness sakes, 10 months it seems, who informed me that we had only one audit finding, and last month I reported we had 8. And the reason for that is they gave me 2 reports. One of them was entitled the management report, and it had at the title findings. And that findings report had 8 listings. Well, today the audit manager told me, well, those aren't really critical. That's really not a major issue for the village. She says you only have 1 audit finding. So I was happy that there was 1, but I was disappointed that there was 1. Because I've never had one before. So anyways, the issue, why we've got the 1, is it simply is a posting error. And I've been posting this way for over 12 years. And I just found out now how I've been posting it is not correct. I've been through 6 or 7 audits. It's never come up before. So, okay, there you go. I'll make the adjustment in how I post that, and that'll eliminate that from ever appearing again. The other thing that.
Where was that posting there, or where was that posting? What area?
That was in the property tax, and at the end of each, they release property taxes, about 8 to 10 times a year. We get it in partial payments. And at the end of each cycle, there's 2 cycles, they do what they call a rollback. In other words, there's monies retained by the county. I'm not sure for what purpose, and they don't pay you all those property taxes that should have gone to the village until maybe they see how everything clears out and the reevaluations. I'm not sure what the criteria is. So at the end of the first cycle, they pay you, and it's called a rollback. Well, that rollback is not to be put into the general fund property taxes. It's to be put into government sharing.
Intergovernment.
Intergovernment. So it's still in the general fund. It's just in a different account number. So is this a critical failure on the part of the village or the fiscal officer? No, it's simply a posting error. So we'll take care of it, we'll get it straightened out. We do not have 8 findings.
Great.
We just got.
We knew you could do it, yeah.
Well, no, took a lot to get through that, but.
We're gonna see you pulled out of here in handcuffs.
There you go. Yeah, it almost was there. I didn't get one. Okay, so anywho, we'll take care of that, and that will eliminate it. The audit manager today did ask if council wants to have an audit exit conference meeting. It's not mandatory, it's up to council. If a meeting is wanted, their normal business hours for the meetings are 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, or we can try to schedule a meeting here at the community center. This would not be a public meeting, it's just to share information with council, if council wants
Is
it.
that all they're gonna talk about? Is the one thing you didn't post right? I say we probably don't need that meeting.
Well, it's up to council. If we
But
don't,
up to you guys.
if you don't want the council meeting with the auditors, then everyone has to sign off on this document I have here. It's a waiver. But tonight, I did give everyone a copy of the official audit report, which is the one with the state of Ohio seal on the front of it. And I also gave you that dumb report that was listed findings that weren't really findings. So you have both of those. So it's
Do
up.
we have to pay them to come to a meeting?
Good reading.
No. No,
Well, that's one thing.
Right,
Would they answer specific questions
of course.
on the phone?
Beg your pardon?
If I ask a question on the phone, would they respond, or do they need an official?
I don't know.
Would they come to a Zoom meeting?
I think they will. Beg your pardon?
Would they come to a Zoom meeting?
I didn't ask that. I can ask it if a Zoom meeting is possible. They probably appreciate that. So if council wants the meeting, that's fine. I can ask if they'll do Zoom.
Do you guys want?
I don't require one.
Is it just to discuss that one posting error?
It would be whatever questions you've got, they'll be happy to answer. We would discuss both reports, the one that shows the 8 findings as well as the master report. But it's the one with the government seal, that's the one that gets released for public information. And that does have that one error in there, that is a posting error. Yes, that's on page 23.
Bud, did you want a meeting?
I don't require a meeting.
Tampa?
I don't require a meeting.
I don't require a meeting. I can sign the waiver first if you like.
Alan?
Well, I'm reading this, and that is, the 3 items that I see were the overstating one account, understating another account, so it's really a wash, it's a lot of pocket, right?
That's the posting error.
The second one.
Right.
The other one's kind of, it's not a financial issue, it was, okay, I'll give you an example, so it was the other special revenue endowment fund, so we got, let's just say we got to give $125,000. If I read this quickly, what we as council, or should have done, is as we set the account up, we should have given what restrictions or use of those funds were. We kind of thought it was, council members, we spent that money for improvements in the village, but it really didn't have direction or guidance. A lot of it went into tennis courts, pickleball, all kinds of things like that. I mean, it was used wisely, but in the future, if we get, and it's been rare, but we've had other endowments, trusts or whatever pay into us, so we probably want to give a little more attention to that money and how it's going to be used. Is that proper or?
Right, okay. To set up a fund, there are some strict criteria. You actually have to go to the auditor of state to get approval. And I never knew that. I've been setting up funds left and right in Burbank and here. So I've just learned that, recently I learned, that if you set up a new fund, you've got to get auditor of state approval. How we had the endowment fund set up to be used for anything that the village needed was fine. It's just that I should not have set it up in its own separate fund number. I should have just kept it under the general fund. And the result would have been the same, meaning you still could have used it wherever you wanted. It's just that the monies would have been part of the general fund. Again, there's not a major issue here. It's not like monies aren't being accounted for. Everything's been accounted for. Everything will always be accounted for. So in a situation like that, the next endowment, no, I do not recommend going to the AOS to get approval. I would recommend putting it just in the general fund. We can have an account number for it so we can track it coming in. And of course, through the expenditures and appropriations, we will track it going out.
To Pam's point, if we get money in and you're trying to set up your budgets for the year coming, and the mulch fund really needs to be set up in advance. So look at whoever's responsible for the 2026 mulch fund, that book that in early, so we don't have to go through it. The problem I have with putting it in the general fund, it's just I'm paraphrasing, but getting money out of the general fund that wasn't already allocated or appropriated seemed to be difficult.
Well, I would apologize to you for that because it's really not. All we have to do is sit down and talk about it. And we know what the bank balances are for the village at the end of every month. You know what your appropriations are every month when I give you those reports. You can look at the two and say, my gosh, I've got available monies here, I can use it elsewhere. And all we have to do is talk about it, increase appropriations, and move forward. If we can't afford it, I'll be the first to tell you we can't. But last year we had some concerns because we were headed in the direction that all appropriations last year were going to be spent. That would have been an issue for us. The good news is we didn't spend all appropriations, so the carryover into 2025 was great. So it's just monitoring appropriations versus monies available and things that you wish to do. Again, the financial position of the village is extremely firm. There are no major concerns.
Well, yeah, when we're talking about budget dollars, we always go to our individual committee responsibilities.
Yep.
And we've never really got a serious conversation that, parks, for whatever reason, needs another 10. That seemed to be difficult to get that money allocated over.
Wow.
Especially if you're saying we're going to be signing it off on the firm budget for 26 next month or soon.
Right.
So I guess maybe it was not knowing how to negotiate that money or how to appropriate. I don't know, but I saw that going into the general fund in the past, if it was Kathy or maybe you, that seemed to be sacred ground.
Okay, well, I apologize if I gave that impression because it wasn't meant to be at all. Which is why I've always offered, hey, if anybody wants to sit down and talk about the budget, let's sit down and talk about it. And I make that offer every year, throughout the year. So it's there, it exists.
Well, I'm not disagreeing because you always have had that, but I guess once we said the budgets, we thought they were pretty cast in stone.
No, because as a fiscal officer, you never want to appropriate 100% of the monies you have available.
Well, that's pretty, sure, I understand that. But things came up. On the other side, we had extra money coming in from these endowments and trusts that came to us, which were windfalls. And we had need, and you had COVID going on. So there was a lot of things that got juggled around, that maybe if we have another windfall like that, maybe we're a little more clear in the restrictions or what we're gonna use these funds for.
Sure.
Just mean you want a meeting or don't want a meeting?
The answer is, yes, the answer is no, I do not want to meet.
Okay, thank you.
I'll pass this around, and if everyone will please sign off on it. I will get that out to the auditor tomorrow. And if anyone has any questions on the audit reports that you got, ask questions, okay? I'm always available to discuss it with you. Okay, well, that's great. Now to move forward. Appreciate that, thank you. Okay, we talked about that. Our insurance carrier, Public Entities Pool, is asking for a second person to be listed as a contact on insurance matters, voting and so forth, when or if the fiscal officer is not available. In Burbank, we listed the mayor. I'm not sure how this council wishes to proceed, but I do need an alternate to be named, and I need to have the mayor sign off on that document.
Well,
We
Ken's
have
one,
expertise.
Ken's one's been taking them around every year. It's the same group that comes around and inspects our playgrounds, right?
Yeah, it is.
Well, Ken,
Yeah, I do it.
Okay,
plus he's an insurance guy,
okay.
so he could be as crooked as they are.
Exactly.
So, all right. So I was Ken as the alternate. And then Mayor, if you want to sign off on it, I appreciate it. And put the date, just your signature there. And that'll take care of that. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ken. Thanks. Question for zoning. AJ Tree Service invoice is $2,000 more than we had originally allowed for that tree removal. How does zoning want to proceed? Do you want to pay the additional $2,000 or not?
Have you seen this invoice, Leslie?
I have not.
Can Leslie see the invoice? I'm just gonna approve it.
Yes, I don't have it.
We don't want her approving invoices she hasn't been able to see.
Right, let me
I
see.
think part of that extra was that tree over at Point Park.
It was, that's confusing because I asked them the same question.
No, it was,
It's only 8,000, it was another 1,000, but he had originally wrote it in. Did you talk to him about it?
yeah, we did talk about this,
We
that's
did.
right.
He wanted to split out, like, this was another $1,000.
But I still have never seen the invoice,
I haven't seen it either.
actually.
I had the it's when we had that major storm.
Right, that's right.
Involved that big willow tree that he had to
Yes, but
drag
I
out
would
of
like
there.
to see the invoices, Gary, I'm not, so.
Okay. Let me just take a quick look here.
And the other
Today's
additional was
Today's post was on
increased cost
We
Yes,
didn't have one for you.
of doing the work.
yeah, it was actually.
Jim.
Did it come out to 9,000?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, so that's all the occurrences that are, okay, is that, I didn't know the damage.
It's in the big
from
pack.
them. That's why I questioned.
Yeah, and I just
Smaller
got
ones, I'll call me gas.
happenstance involved in that.
right,
And he needed an answer, and I gave him one.
right.
So is that over?
probably the last one.
So if I remember right, we had set up, him to do a full day's work in the
Right.
village, and then we had storm activity. Extra activities, is that what we're dealing with?
That's right.
Yeah, that's how it
Right.
worked out.
So I just, because council had only appropriated 7,000 for the tree removal, the bill came in at 9,000, we just need to get approval to pay the extra 2.
Yes, I do approve this, this is the conversation Bud and I had, yes,
Okay,
he does.
all right, can I have a motion for that, please?
I will make a motion to approve the additional $2,000 to AJ Tree Service.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so what do we have to do to make sure she sees, if she's to approve the tree bill, she needs to see them?
Well,
So how would that work? You
right, send it to them.
send it to them?
Because I sent it to the department chair, but in this case, because of what Bud was explaining, the emergency and all that, he was handling the invoicing, so I'll just ship it back to you on those matters. Not a problem. Okay? That's it on there. Okay, that's at the end of May, the balance in the primary checking account, $423,008.78. Money market, $206,008.36. Star, Ohio, $113,693.50. Total, $742,710.64. When you hear all those monies that are available, they're not all for the general fund. Nearly 45 to 47% of these total monies are for streets and can only be used on streets or road and bridge. So any questions from council about the monies available in the banking account, checking account? Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, do we have old business? I have a question for old business, I guess. Ken, you said something about beach sand.
Yes,
Are
I
you
don't
gonna
have-
order it? Do you need to allocate some money for that, or is that?
I do, but I don't
Because you
have the
probably want it
numbers right
delivered before, well, next meeting's July meeting, you want to get it approved before that.
now. Yeah, before that, yeah.
Because you probably want to get it delivered before the 4th of July, would be my guess.
Yeah,
You better
we
hurry up.
do. We do, I just don't have the exact pricing on that. But I would imagine it would be under $1,000.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No,
Not with transportation costs.
Well,
We had to have it shipped in, a lot of times the shipping on it.
what?
you got 5.
Yeah,
Make a motion for 5, and you don't spend it, it's a non-issue.
okay, all right. I'd like to make a motion to allocate $5,000 for beach sand.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
should we allocate money for mulch as well?
for what?
Now, should we allocate money? No?
No,
I think it's gonna come out of his budget, that is. Mulch.
it will.
Okay. Okay, I have one other thing as well, we discussed this before, but the salary for the beach manager was supposed to be $1,500. We talked about it, I don't think we voted on it or did what we needed to do, but that was like discussed. I think it was an increase of, I think, $200 or something like that.
$250, yeah.
So what do I need to do?
Make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to increase the beach manager's salary to $1,500 for the season.
I abstain.
Is there a second?
Second.
Would you say?
I abstain.
Relevant.
Okay,
Okay.
we want to do a roll call vote on this, Gary.
Sure. Bud,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Tamitha,
Yes.
Leslie,
I can't vote, I abstain.
and Ken.
Yes.
Okay.
I should have said no, that'd be funny.
Stir the.
Okay, is there any other old business? Well, now we'll go to the audience again. I know you guys have had a lot to say tonight, so let's see if you're done. Mark?
One thing to bring up, Jim
Okay.
uses the Google Maps thing, and there's no way those streets in this village are anywhere near the lines on that map.
He doesn't use the Google Maps.
Whatever plat thing he shows is not what these streets are.
Yeah, they're not totally accurate.
It's not accurate at all. It's completely conceivable that you cut down her tree.
No, it's not.
No.
The point, I guess what I'm trying to make is if it looks like it's close, you should talk to the homeowner. That's my point.
Sure.
In that circumstance, then the homeowner would have to get a survey, and if it is on their property, then
All you gotta do is talk to them, say, we think this tree needs to come down, we're willing to pay for it, what do you think? 99.9% of the time, they're gonna say, oh, sure, go ahead. They're not
That's
gonna argue with you for a free tree cut. But if that's the case, if they won't argue with you, then you say, okay, survey it.
They do get into practical expediency issues. So
If it was an emergency, it's a different story, but, you know, I just happen to know, you go down on Park Lake down there, the right-of-way line is 1.5 feet off the surface of the road, even though it's what, down there, a 30 or 40 foot right-of-way?
Yeah.
The road is you're heading down towards the lake, it's to the left and the right-of-way, all the way. Jim tried to have me take out a lilac bush in a shed there because his thing showed it on the right-of-way, and it wasn't on the right-of-way. That stuff was not on the right-of-way.
Okay. Pam, do you have anything?
No, just that the golf cart parade was a success. Lots of people at the ice.
Yes, it was.
I think everybody enjoyed it. So that's all I have to say.
Kelly?
I just want to thank you always. I feel blessed to have all of you managing our business.
Howard?
No additional comments, thank you.
Alan?
There were some issues this weekend with dogs on the beach. Are they allowed on the beach or are they not?
They're not, that's what
They're
we're
not,
talking
and
about.
thanks to Debbie, that's why we're getting that new sign and putting the dogs on there.
Okay.
Because I guess none of us really, well, I think the old sign did say something about no pets or something like that.
Yes, and no pets.
Maybe we ought to say pets in case they bring their cat or something.
Yeah,
Actually,
cats,
in this conversation,
raccoons.
I never knew before I was on council, I didn't know pets weren't allowed on the beach, maybe because it wasn't on the sign.
No, it wasn't.
The sign was there, just keep moving, we lost the tree.
We lost
And
that tree.
or again, maybe people don't read signs, it was, the beach was, the gate was open and it was nighttime. We had our miniature dachshund and we walked out on the beach. Anyway, she ingested sand and had to be hospitalized to remove it. She just was supposed to play in the sand and biting at it and stuff, here at our beach.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Well, see,
Yeah.
should've had that dog on there.
Yeah, maybe we did bigger signs.
So can the beach attendant tell people you can't have a dog on the beach?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, can you inform them that they
Yep.
can do that?
Mhm.
And should do that.
Yeah, they should, you can't come in there with it.
I mean, dogs go in the bathroom, you got 40 kids running around there playing.
Right.
And the one didn't have it on a leash. I said, well, he's telling me he's gotta have a dog. You know, in the village, you have to be on a leash.
Yep.
He didn't have it on a leash, so it was jumping all over people. But he didn't, he had the right to have it there, so.
Well, we're putting the sign together, so we're gonna have that. Okay, and we'll make sure that.
Yeah,
the
thanks,
workers know.
thanks to the ski team for, just pointing it out,
Yep.
because it was during winter ski. Right? So Debbie, save the day on that. That's what we're getting new sign. Bill, did you have anything?
Maybe what we should consider doing on the board up there is drop the roads guy and make a landscape and maintenance guy. Because nothing is going on with our roads, nothing seems.
That's not exactly true,
No potholes are being filled.
because we're waiting for the contractor to come, who had to wait for the trees to come down, who had to wait for the electric company. There is something being done. It just isn't being done right this minute, but it's certainly been on the schedule for quite a while.
Okay.
So you can apologize to Bud later for that. Okay? Okay, I can't tell who's next to you.
Lisa.
I don't think Ed's next to you. I think,
Nothing.
Bob, did you have anything?
No, my piece was said.
Wait a minute. Who else screwed up here? Lisa, got Lisa, and then Amber.
Hi.
Hi.
I am here. I came to make a request of council, but first I'd like to thank the community, Cross Point, their committee, everyone that made items to sell at the event, the pig roast on Saturday, the people that made the food, the musicians, the community that came out and supported us. We made $5,200.
Oh, good.
So thank you all. So I talked to Joanne about this. In my spare time, I do research on the beginnings of the villages. Our village, Briarwood Beach, Goya Glens. And it's really hard finding some information. And as I understand, there's some old archive records here. And I would like permission to use those for research. Not taking them out of the building, just seeing what's here, using them, trying to put some information together on the history of our village.
Does anybody have any problem with that? We do have the old records for both the villages in that room there.
There's some upstairs too.
And I would think that, you know, maybe you could coordinate something with you, Barb, or she could.
I don't know.
Gary, does anybody have any problem with her looking through those?
So
I don't-
public records.
I don't know what's in there.
They're public regardless.
It's
so I
basically,
don't think
Chippewa Lake from 1929 on up to 1998, and Briarwood Beach from, I think, 1955 to 1998. And so there's a lot in there that she might.
I'd be interested to see what you compile. I'd be very interested.
Actually, Amber, I'm on the mission of a whole house purge, and I have this really nice display of historic Chippewa Lake memorabilia. And the other day I thought, why do I have this cabinet full of stuff for just me and my friends to see? I think I'm gonna donate it to the Historical Society, so maybe you should reach out to other members in the community and see if they wanna do the same. I mean, what does it mean if people can't see it besides you and your friend group? I don't know, I just felt like.
Well, people are starting to make calls and say, hey, I have this, would you like it? So I think once the museum's open, we're gonna hear more of that.
Bob Gardner, part of that.
He is not, but
He is,
I can go talk to him.
he is a.
I know he is. I really want to pull him.
He's kind of
on some
funny
our
with
archives.
his pictures, though.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with public information.
Okay, so if you want to get together with Barb,
Yeah. I'll send
and you can figure out how you want to do this.
You spend enough time here anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe?
The other day, there was a guy from, I think, Gridiron, who was doing something in the yard across the street where the house that is near that recently sold. And I thought he was there to survey, but then he put yellow flags along the edge of the street and told me that there is a sign that's gonna go up there. Does
He was
anybody
from
know
where?
anything?
Gridiron?
Gridiron, you mean the guy that does the barbecues and stuff? No.
No, you mean the construction company, like Gridiron Roofing?
Yeah, he had one of those machines that you can feel the whatever.
He had a metal detector?
And he put, Alan, you know what I'm talking about, those 3 yellow flags?
Yeah, yellow is generally gas lines.
Is what?
Gas line.
Oh,
Just marking up utilities.
oh, because he said something about a sign, okay, I thought maybe the village
Well,
was.
somebody may have requested him to do that for a sign to be installed.
Where is that loaded? Where is that?
On Bungalow Bay?
It's our ranch house, 48.
It's in front of your ranch house?
You having a sign put in?
No.
Sounds like an Oprah's utility. Somebody was gonna
Right, they have
have,
been marking the street up there too.
yeah, there's gotta be some kind of construction work that by
For the paper.
By law, they have to have Oprah's come in and like within 48 hours of when they're gonna do the installation.
I call
To
Senate.
know where any of
I think it's
the
Senate.
underlying utilities are, so they can,
I think so.
Coming in.
so that might have been,
Oh, yeah.
gas might have been the first one there, but sewer and water and
Well,
electric would be there, fiber would be there.
Do we know anything about another fiber company coming in? I've been getting stuff in the mail.
Well,
They don't have
it's not
telephone.
Medina Lit anymore.
You know, this is completely different,
It's Omni or something.
something like that.
Omni has replaced Medina Fiber or Medina Lit. They bought them.
So that's like the third company now at least?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Medina became lit, became Omni.
Nothing fishy about it. Okay, where were we? Bob?
Nothing.
Allison?
I do have two things. One is I very much appreciate when I'm not here, being able to watch the meeting on the owls. I do want to point out a couple of things when you're watching it online. The side conversations, the clicking your pen, the running of a copy machine totally overrides what anyone is saying, just so you're aware.
It does in the meeting too.
I know there used to be microphones, I guess they aren't necessary anymore, but I just thought I'd make people aware of that. That includes council and out here. If people are out here talking, the owl turns around and you're watching them and you're not watching or hearing the meeting. Just an FYI. The second thing, when it comes to signage, as far as fishing, not fishing, where you can fish, where you can't fish. I think about myself in driving, and, you're driving, looking for a place to park, you pull in, there's a sign back there, it says, no parking here at the corner. To me, that yellow along the curb is much more obvious that you can't park here. I don't know if that's feasible. Paint part of the wall, a color, if it would stay, if it, for me, that visual is much more effective than a sign 50 feet behind me that says.
You mean like a reflecting strip,
No, I know what she's talking, it used to be that way along the wall there.
They used to have one of those on Bass Bay.
Somebody.
Yeah.
had
She's
no
talking
fishing
about the no
steps
fishing on
across
the
top.
That's
great
not a
wall.
bad
We're
idea instead
talking
of a
about
sign.
no fishing
Yeah.
on the great wall.
We'll get the approval
That's
from,
said, talking about.
Well, she's
Yeah.
giving that as
No.
an example. Right? Yes.
that on
Yes.
one side and not the other.
That's an interesting observation. I just remind you, that's privately owned wall space.
But we did
Not
make a
that
list
isn't
of all.
on the
No,
one side.
but we
own
have,
that.
we have public access over it,
Where the tree
but the
is.
wall, as an example.
Other than the two lots next to the beach, everything from that to.
Joanne and I made a
Point
list of
Park
all
is
those
private property
homes.
owned by
We're not, we're
residents.
talking about the two lots next to the beach, because
Right,
that's
you can
where we
only
would
do
be
that on
fishing.
the two lots next to the beach. We cannot do that from those two lots all the way down to the
Well,
park.
I don't think we should not allow fishing on the wall just near the beach. I mean, a kid over there fishing, I mean, that's one of the nice things they have being a lake community. I don't know, I have no problem with that, but I'm only one.
John Sandora had his boat cover snagged with a hook from someone fishing. It tore a hole in it.
You can always
So
direct
the
the
people
kids
that
to
are
the
fishing
point.
on the break wall can also do
Yeah.
this thing.
They go by the point.
You can't catch fish here, that's the problem.
Right, there's nothing there.
Well,
It wasn't done.
can't have everything.
I'm not saying it's.
Okay, Andy?
Earlier in the meeting, you mentioned you'll have Alan Michelson look into the fishing.
Yes,
story.
yes.
You should also ask him about electric mini bikes. Could there be an ordinance that says that's not allowed on village streets?
It didn't sound like we're allowed to do that.
Well,
They're the
that-
same as e-bikes, yeah.
That's a question for Alan.
Well,
we
but
talked
there's
about
no, are you talking about the same bikes that,
I think something.
Harvey keeps saying that there's no state law or law
Yeah,
against
there's
it?
something going on in Columbus right now pertaining to that.
Some of these mini bikes, they're not gasoline mini bikes, they're electric.
But they're mini bikes.
Right, mini bikes, so there's something that, but according to Deputy.
The gas ones need license plates, the electric ones do not.
But
You can put a 2-year-old on an electric one and set them off on the street,
I think it's
as
a
long
good
as
question
it's
for
speed
Alan.
limit's under 45.
Okay, we can ask them, certainly we can ask them. Ed?
Had three quick things. Do we have a schedule of road maintenance and how it's gonna happen? I mean, do we know what's gonna come after, what the streets could?
We have a job coming up, Bud could probably tell you what roads are involved in that.
I have a list of roads, Ed, throughout the village. Bungalow Bay is one of those roads. That's probably the major roadway. But understand that our $75,000 project,
That's why I asked for a schedule.
it slows in the weather it's played having with paving.
Yes, sir.
So, I hate to give you a wishy-washy answer, but that's all I have to work with.
Just a chronology, that's all. You know.
I don't have that.
I didn't mean a date, but order, pecking order.
I understand.
I think there was $48,000 allocated to
Okay.
Bungalow.
He just wants to know, Rumble Bay, Brook Shore, like, he just wants to know what roads are getting in what order. That's it. He doesn't care about the money of it.
I don't have that information.
Okay.
He can let you know when he gets it.
That's something they're gonna decide when they show up.
Hmm.
And I've been,
What happens with our villages, even though that seems like a ton of money to us, to a construction company, it's not. So what has happened now, because we had them scheduled in early spring, then we got a little snag with the tree and the electric company and this and that moved their schedule back. Now they're on to the bigger jobs, which puts us where we usually have ended up as long as I've lived here, which is at the end of their schedule, probably in September or something. They're gonna go after the big jobs before they come to us, because we're not a big job to them, they're a big job to us. So, hopefully, they'll be here sometime this summer now, is where we're at with that.
Second thing is,
The work has been scheduled since the first of the year,
And I gotta.
but weather's been in the way, so.
the second thing has to do with, are we going to increase, I think we should increase the number of hours for our law enforcement people. However, have we thought about maybe using that money for cameras? I mean, would it be interesting security for our village to have this village protected by cameras?
Well, we do have some cameras, where are you thinking of?
I just think anywhere and everywhere.
Well, then we get the camera footage of something we can't enforce.
Who's gonna watch the
Yeah, who's gonna watch, and then what do we do? Even then, we got the guy that was stealing mail. Whatever happened with that? We have him on camera, we identified him, nothing happened.
I gave the information, I contacted the sheriff's department, said we have video of the guy filching through the garbage, dumping the mail in the garbage can. It was good coverage, it was good footage,
Right?
but nobody ever followed up with me.
Generally,
One of the problems with cameras is whether or not you have power, whether or not you have internet access, and a way to, up at the tennis courts, one of the residents up there has graciously allowed us to tap into his Wi-Fi. So that allows us to have recordings of the stuff on the shuffleboard court and the tennis courts. But without his access to the Wi-Fi, they're solar powered. So without access to his Wi-Fi, we wouldn't be able to do it. So when we were looking into, we would have to have a building erected, we'd have to have power going to the building, we'd have to have an internet connection to that box so that we could have the wireless or wired, they could be wired cameras as well, but you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
So it sounds like no, it would not be cheaper to get cameras.
yeah, to that end, there was a year or two ago, the cameras that are over streetlights, there was grants that were flying around for those kind of things. And we explored having something at the beach, up the top of Longing, or maybe Chippewa Lake Road, and maybe Leadmore, where it had shaped 4 cameras would maybe cover the village. All I was gonna cover is if there was some bad incident, you wanted to follow the place of the car, and they could identify this place, and then immediately goes out into a statewide or nationwide bingo, if you know who it is. I saw it. I said, run my place, or my wife's place, and I knew exactly where she was at that point in time. So, but after that was $9,000 a year for each camera. So, it gets down to money for one thing. What are you gonna, we don't have any major crime. I mean, we have a few things.
We have annoying crime.
We have a very safe community in general. A little nuance stuff, but for the critical issues, we're pretty clean. So that really, there was work done on that, but we saw the comma in there and it went away.
I think I've had the same comment over the park meetings too. that as we get more and more people coming to Chippewa Lake, I just feel concerned about safety and that's why I talk about cameras. The third thing I wondered about is, we were talking about this, there's only, I know, 40 or 44 summer cottages, we're one of the summer cottages. But I wonder whether or not there should be like an ad hoc number of the summer cottage people somehow attached to the council. It doesn't mean we have to be a voting member, but just, maybe somebody could tell us about things that are happening when we're not around.
Well, we have the same thing going on with people that go to Florida. We've tried the best we can with these cameras. We're not obligated to broadcast these meetings, but we have tried to. And I know a lot of people that travel do watch the YouTube. So I don't know I'm not quite sure what you mean by a committee or what you'd want them to do exactly.
Just to have representation on somehow, some kind of representation. And I realize you give us this format here, and we appreciate that. And we appreciate all that you do, so it's not like we're here to complain, but it's just like, we have, we're all part of this family. And
well, you can always feel free to email or call, I know you know most of the council people. Jennifer, you know people. Pam, she knows people. When they're not around.
And you're on my pride list.
Yeah, but I wanna,
So
I actually wanted to say
Jennifer,
something about the tree situation too. So we don't, real quick, we don't haphazardly go around taking down trees. And I've really thought a lot about what happened with Jennifer's tree. And I don't know, circling back, how we could have done anything differently. I see her point. It was a large tree that was removed that she was not expecting to come home to. Well, obviously somebody reached out to her. I can imagine if I came home and a large tree was removed, but the process is, the zoning inspector and the assistant, they go around the community and they tag trees that they think is a problem. And then AJ comes and he looks at the trees and he says, yeah, those need to come down. And, I'm not made aware of those trees until they come down. And then, somebody said to me at the village, yeah, they're gonna be shutting our power down up on Bungalow Bay to take the tree down. I didn't know that, but Bud knew that. Back to like people having to know what Bill Blasnap is doing. We can't know what every single person is doing. Maybe we can find a better way to communicate. Yes, Jennifer, I know you, I know your phone number, but I didn't know your tree was coming down or that it would be an issue. What if I'm not that council person next year and it's somebody who doesn't know you? I don't know how we could better communicate. And I would love to maybe consider that moving forward, because we don't want residents upset with us because we're doing our job. And that's really, our job is to take care of our community. And again, I know you were upset and I'm very sorry. The other alternative would be that we would put a notice on your door, but again, you're not here in April, you're not here in May. We're gonna find a better way, and again, in hindsight, I can't fix what happened to you being upset about your tree coming down. But we do need to find a way to communicate as a community. So I wanna say that because we didn't get to have that discussion. We all care about each other and what happens to our properties. So, and that's what Ed is saying. Ed wanted to know about that tree, Jennifer wanted to know. Claire's list is not going to tell Jennifer her tree is coming down. Even if I had put a notice out that said, hey, we're taking some trees down in the community, I guarantee Jennifer would not have thought, oh, they must be talking about mine. I better, she would not have known that. So I just want to put that out there. That's what they're asking. They want to know what's going on with their properties specifically. We'll figure it out. I'm sorry about what happened that,
Thank you.
And we will say, the people that are in this room, for the most part, are pretty good at coming to council meetings and find out what's going on, but we got a whole big village here that does not come to council meetings. Maybe they're looking on YouTube, but most of them, until something affects them immediately, Because you're not the first person that's come here about a tree, Jennifer. We've had other people we've never seen in our lives come about a tree that didn't belong to them. They have no clue what we're doing, and until it affects them directly, they don't pay attention. And that's just human nature. It's not a complaint against all of them. So, you guys in this room, you know your council people, you know Ed, you know all of them. You can ask, you can email any of them, ask a question or concern you have. I know Andy does it when he's in Florida. If he has a question about something we're doing, he contacts somebody on council. So, by all means, feel free to do that.
I feel really bad that I didn't notice that, the tree was coming, or that I couldn't give information to Jennifer that the tree was coming down. I feel like I let her down.
Oh, come on.
That's gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Maybe she'll make it up to you on Father's Day.
That's all over here.
Okay, Jennifer, did you have anything?
No, let's go.
Okay. Now, do we have any new business?
Well, NOPEC is, we've been talking about for a long time, but electric utility rates starting this month are going to have some substantial jumps. So, through the aggregation program, NOPEC can minimize that or make your own decisions on how you want to do it. But that's out there, it's published. So pay attention. Because it's gonna be maybe 30% on your bill. It can be significant. So, pay attention to that area.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
Okay. Do we have a final motion?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Let's make a-